Updates, and more updates. Well, everyone, there's a hell of a lot to talk about. Over the past month and a half or so, as I've been producing videos, I've thrown a lot of different things on my table and not really looked back at them, not touched on them again, and not kept you all in the loop. So today, just between the last big video I did and the next big one, which should be in a matter of hours, I wanted to give you all a bit of the skinny on exactly what's been happening behind the scenes, and maybe remind you all to participate in several of the fun initiatives that are at hand. I actually shudder to think how many links are going to appear in the description today, considering how terrible I am with that stuff, but hey, let's jump straight on in. So first of all, very recently, I did a video on something called Guild Wars 2 Hook, a Guild Wars 2 specific branch of the Reshade 3.0 shader suite. I got to show off the extra things that Reshade 3.0 added, as well as the interesting new developments that have been created for Guild Wars 2, and it was a lot of fun. I also threw a bunch of gems at you all and said, hey, I'm going to give some people some gems if they post their presets online. I believe that we have over 250 different Reshade 3.0 Guild Wars 2 Hook presets that have now been generated and given to the community. So this has all been going on in a link in my subreddit, which I know a lot of you guys don't really think about or remember, but the top link in the description today is that subreddit. If you enjoyed that Reshade 3.0 video a while ago and thought, but there's not many presets, I don't know whether I want to bother with it, well, now you can go back to the thread and there's a ton going on there. I thought I'd remind you all of this, not just so that maybe people take a look at all the wonderful things people have made, and I would certainly recommend you check out things that aren't highly upvoted as well, because there's a lot of cool gems there. And not only for that, but also because the gems themselves are being given away at the end of this weekend. So you still have a couple of days to get in there, make your own, and have a chance to win. So I am blown away with the response on that, everyone. I'm so happy to see that we've got so many presets. And you'll also recall that recently I got a website. The website doesn't host very much at the moment, just something else I'll be talking about in a moment. But we do currently have a plan, and we're currently building a page for people to be able to post their presets directly to the website. And I'm going to be holding a database that has screenshots for you all, links to download INIs for you all, descriptions on all of that. I'm going to be hosting those. I know that on Reshade side, they do host presets there and people can share them, but I wanted a more Guild Wars 2 specific area. And what I'm also going to do is go through many of these and build something of a mega pack for you all, or maybe even multiple mega packs, maybe community submitted mega packs, where you can download a big selection of INIs that give you a range of different presets. You know, a preset that's good for screenshot sniping, a preset that's good for Shiver Peaks areas, a preset that's good for Crichton areas, a preset that's got lots of sharpening and contrast, a preset that's very soft but vibrant, and so on and so on. You know, things that just complement one another. I think that will be very fun. There is also a little bit more going on with Guild Wars 2 Hook in relation to a development that I alluded to in the last video, but I'm not the developer of GW2 Hook. It's up to him when we start talking about that, so I guess I'll leave it there. But the website hosting of all of those presets should be really good as well. That's not going to go away. It won't disappear for as long as I Wooden Potatoes am around. Even if I move on from Guild Wars 2 sometime a decade from now, I anticipate to continue hosting those for the community, and that should be fun. I love how much we've generated, guys. Stuff like Reshade only takes off when there is a great baseline of presets, and I think we've damn well smashed that out of the park. So really great stuff, everyone. So next topic, speaking of the website, something perhaps even more important, and I really should have mentioned more in the videos, is the legendary contest. It's surprising when I stream, I can kind of get a feel for which users know what's going on and which don't, and there's a huge number of people that seem to have just forgotten this is happening. Remember, we are in the middle of a different competition in which you can win every single legendary in the game. One person will get all of them. The person in second place will get all of the Black Line contracts in the game. Third place will get all of the auras, and so on and so on and so on. It's a huge giveaway, and a lot of love and work has gone into it, but some people weren't even aware. So let me remind you all that this is going on, but there was a cool development as well just last week. As you guys know, on the website for this competition, I'm hosting a page that shows all the different contest entries, and much like with the Reshade presets, we've had hundreds of these too. Lots of people have been getting involved, and one of my ideas for the competition, it's all about growing the scene, right, was that people would actually pay attention to everyone's contest entries and browse them and talk about them and so on. We really haven't seen very much of that. So what we did on the website, as you can see here now, is if you click the link in the description, you can go to the legendary contest entries and you can actually filter them now. You can see which ones had the most views, you can see which ones had the most likes, the most dislikes, and by doing this, you can kind of separate the men from the boys and find the really good contest entries and filter them away from maybe some of the weaker ones, but it's totally up to you guys. Originally, we just had this as a big block, so we've changed this a little bit. Hopefully, more people will watch and be interested in those. That is constantly getting updated, guys. If you come back in 2 days, there will be new entries. If you come back 2 days later, there will be new entries again. I really want people to pay attention to them and see what they like about it. As well, in an effort to promote discussion about the various entries for the competition, I'm also now hosting on the subreddit this page here, which is just a big discussion page for what entries people like, which ones people think deserve winning, what people want to do for their own entries, collaborations and stuff like that. Any kind of space and centralized location you guys want to have to talk about this, that's not just in our Discord, then hopefully this subreddit thread will be for you. So please do get in there and use that. I would love to talk in more specific terms about some of the incredible submissions we've had, because there are some that have really blown me away. And I'd love to do that so that you guys get more enthusiastic about this competition yourselves, but I feel like I should remain impartial and not tip my hand to sort of reveal who I'm thinking of giving prizes to right now. So I'll remain impartial and distant, but please check those out, guys. Some of them are great, and every day there's even more great ones coming in. And remember, you could be the winner just as easily as anyone else. I thought I'd take this opportunity as well to answer some frequently asked questions because, again, I announced this and I haven't done any videos on it since. Some of the most frequent things people are messing up with this competition is to enter it, you need to give me your account name and number, your Guild Wars 2 account name and number, so that I can mail you. That does not mean your Gmail or your email address. So many people have tried to enter and they failed because they've given me their sodding Gmail. That's not how it works, so please do pay attention to that. I've also had a lot of people ask me whether they can do collaborative entries, so like get an entire guild of people to make a video or do a project. That's totally okay. It's just that I will only give the prize to one person, and you as a community, your collaborative entry, you're going to have to decide who you trust enough to receive that to then partition the prizes out. Because remember, there's tons of legendaries. You could do a collaboration with 20 people, win it, and nearly all of those people would get a full legendary to themselves. Another question that people are continuously asking me about is the deadline. The deadline, I have tried to be very clear about. The deadline is not at the launch of Path of Fire. The deadline is the launch of Season 4. So if you want to make a big hype video before the game comes out, that's fine. You can do that. A lot of people have done that. If you want to instead wait for it to come out so you get all the footage and stuff, maybe a big Elder Dragon boss battle or whatever that the devs are going to be giving us, if you want to do that in your production, then wait for after release and post it before Season 4 begins. The reason I've done that is to give people the most freedom as possible, and just because you do an early video instead of a late video, it doesn't mean that your video is going to be worse. Remember, the whole point is growing the scene. I'm making a judgment based on how well you grow the Guild Wars 2 scene, and if that means a hype video does better than a post-release video, then you've got every much as opportunity as someone who had, you know, maybe a higher quality thing that came later. So just bear that in mind, and yeah, that's what's going on with the deadline there. I will stop accepting entries on the hour that Season 4 goes live. That means you could even use trailer footage from Season 4 in your entry in theory if you waited that long, though you might not want to. Lastly, a lot of people have been telling me that one of the prizes, the 5th and 6th place prize, because we've got 25 prizes, right? The 5th and 6th place ones, their economies have shifted. The devs kind of destroyed the mini market recently, so the minis are now worth less than the Halloween skins. So don't worry about that. They will swap in position, and that shouldn't be a problem. But thank you very much for everybody who's tried to help in terms of that, and there you go. So next thing, moving on, I wanted to talk about in the update video here is about the previous video I just did earlier in the day. So there was a pretty mixed response to this, a lot more of a mixed response than usual, a lot of outright negativity and dislike towards the video I just did, and that's the one on what Path of Fire missed, what it failed to deliver, what Path of Fire didn't give us as a Guild Wars 2 expansion that it potentially could have, where our disappointments, or where my specific disappointments lie, but also some broader community ones like the number of skins and so forth. And so there was a mixed response to that video. I did want to talk about it a bit. Quite often on YouTube, you'll find that YouTubers never want to talk about when they've made like a crappy video or a video that got hated on or something. I think you find that happens a lot on this website because these YouTubers, either they're very, very fragile, and at the end of the day, we're all human and people can be fragile. But I think a lot of the time it's just people want to give the appearance of being aloof and above all of that, or to demonstrate the fact that they're not really looking for feedback, and a lot of people aren't. I'm often not, or to make, hopefully, make people forget about it and act like it never happened if they made something bad, and they never really talk about it. And so quite often, what I think happens in those situations with those YouTubers is the audience then just takes that silence as an opportunity to perpetually be really shitty and rude and not think about what they're doing and drag the community down. I mean, you've probably seen it before, right? I think there's a lot of big YouTubers out there whose audiences seem to hate on them for one reason or another. Often with gaming, it's that they've started playing a different game than the one they originally grew with and so on. So anyway, my video was nowhere near that level, and our audience is nowhere near that size, so I don't know why I'm talking about all this, but I did want to address the feedback on that video. Actors I mean to go on, I suppose, and all that. So anyway, the point of what I made earlier in the day was not to attack Path of Fire. This is what people seem to have mostly thought it was. I wasn't trying to attack Path of Fire, I wasn't condemning it, I wasn't suggesting that the expansion will fail, right? Yes, the word fail appeared in the title of that video, but I really want to be clear with people that that wasn't meant to be a massive attack. It wasn't meant to be a suggestion that we're buying into false hype. I had someone say, how can you run a competition for Path of Fire while also make a video like this? And people just really not understanding what I'm getting at. I've seen several people, in fact, accusing me of like complaining, and I do take issue with that. I don't think that video was a complaint at all. It was just a thought exercise, everyone, right? It was a discussion on the kind of things that we got in this expansion, but further developments we could have had, because there is always something further that can be done, and I don't see any harm in talking about that. The places in the community that we may be left wanting can reveal fun stuff to be excited about for future updates, and it can help me to know as well whether my opinions are very much in line with the communities or not. You know, if I say something like, oh, I want dynamic weather systems, everyone, and then I see nobody really agrees with me in the comments, that will affirm to me that that's a niche, weird, unnecessary thing I want to have in the game, and that could be fun to experience as a YouTuber and get all these messages in responding to the different topics that I've raised. So that's what that video is, really. It's kind of a meta discussion. It's not a review. The game isn't even out yet. It's a personalized wish list, of anything, and a grounding rod to give us a bit of perspective on what the expansion didn't do perfectly, because so many of my videos are, this is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing, this is amazing. I don't think being so one note all the time is necessarily the best way I'd want to conduct myself. So yeah, hopefully people understand where I'm coming from there and aren't too flinchy or offended at the existence of something like that. I, honest to God, by no means think Path of Fire is going to fail just because it doesn't include these arbitrary personalized bullet points. I actually think, and this is probably too early to say, but despite not having these things on this list, Path of Fire is looking way better than Heart of Thorns did, and it will probably knock it out of the park. Trust me, I wouldn't be making videos about this MMO if I didn't feel that way. But we've always been critical, and we've always explored the good and the bad, and I just didn't think that any of this really needed to be disclaimed to you guys. Some people did suggest that the timing of the video is what is bad instead, but I wonder about that as well. Why? What's so wrong with taking an assessment of my thoughts and feelings from today before the product comes out? I think that this is the kind of video I'd be really happy to look back at several years in the future and remember exactly where my opinions were and what I felt was important before POF itself was released, and obviously my opinions are going to change when that happens. Like, I think about before Heart of Thorns came out and some of the crazy things I said before it released, and then how much I adjusted my perspective and so forth in reaction to the actual size of Heart of Thorns. I think that something similar can happen here with Path of Fire, and that should be quite fun to look at. Remember, this wasn't a review or an aggressive judgment. It wasn't a suggestion of developer laziness or an accusation. It was an exploration of what more could have been done. I thought it was a fun topic to think about, and I made a video about it on YouTube as a discussion, and that's really all I ever do. I mean, I think another thing people were saying is that the timing might have been bad, maybe, because the things on the list appear in the expansion anyway. So like I say, oh, they don't have dynamic weather. Well, how can you know that, Wood and Potatoes? Yeah, it's not out yet. This is a premature judgment because it doesn't exist yet. Maybe all these things are there. Maybe the devs have done it. And while that might be true in some very small places, okay, so like I said, there aren't too many skins. Well, maybe there's actually loads of skins and we just haven't seen them all be mined. While that's true in small places, I think the vast majority of topics I mentioned on that video would have been advertised or would have been talked about. Like, build templates are not randomly going to appear in this expansion. We're not going to suddenly find that the Spellbreaker does have an underwater spear instead. We're not going to suddenly find that dungeons have had major touch-ups without the devs taking an opportunity to talk about that pre-release and sell more products because it's there. That's not to say I don't think fishing or build templates and stuff will ever come to Guild Wars 2. I actually think there's a really good chance they will. Like, build templates, I can imagine being in a feature pack style update during even the Path of Fire days, but they just won't be a part of the boxed price. They won't be dropped on September 22nd, and that's the discussion we were really having. So yeah, it does worry me. It does sadden me a little bit to have to come out loud and say this, because it's so smack bang obvious to me that I never even like made this disclaimer in the video itself. Maybe I'll be a bit more careful in the future, but I'd really like to not have to coddle you guys. We will see what people say in the comments here. I often feel very, very in tune with the audience, so it's concerning when there's this big gulf of misunderstanding and talking at cross purposes, at least for this specific video, and I'll try to do what I can to remedy that. Well, there you go. So that's that. That's a pretty big negative one. Let's move on to another topic, another thing on the updates. Speaking of the community, a big thing has just happened. Those who have been following the streams a lot will know about this, and I've just opened the doors. We now have a new in-game guild branch, which just had its name voted on. We had many different potential names for the branch. The one that won was the Spud Club 2, which is a pun on, if you see the way that it's written there, you'll see why that's supposed to be funny. I was told it was a very British sounding pun, so there you go. That is now open, and that is accepting members. So I've got a video on Wooden Potatoes 2 in the description down below if you guys are interested in this. But basically, we've had an in-game guild for a long time. It's just always been very, very full. With the new expansion, I see an opportunity to get these thousands of other people who have been looking for invites, at least some of them, to get into a new branch. I see an opportunity to build up that new Vabian Hall and experience all of that fun stuff, to rally around together in this massive swelling community. Should be very fun. And so yeah, we've opened another branch. How that branch functions, how you get into it, all of that stuff is a lot that needs to be discussed. I spent most of tonight typing up in Google Docs, and so all of that information is detailed on Wooden Potatoes 2, but that is now open. The primary objective of the new branch is, one, to have a lot of friends and fun people to hang around and crazy activity right on the launch of expansion, but also it's to build up the new Vabian Hall and see all that NPC dialogue and see the animations of those buildings being constructed and rally together. After the hall has been built, which is going to be like 6 to 9 months from now, and that's lowballing it. After that, then we'll start to see what we want to do at that point. But the main goal of this for now is that progression of the Guild Hall. And if you guys are interested in that, we can get 500 new people in the community, and it should be really, really fun. I very much recommend you check out that link, and I'll remind you guys a few more times in upcoming streams and so on that this is going on. And lastly, I thought I'd let you guys in on what I'm planning for upcoming videos. So we still got just over 2 weeks, I think it is, for Path of Fire to come out. This is all time that we've got to cover more interesting topics. I think most of the big things about POF I've now done. The idea was to present all of the big features and things it's got, then do a video or two talking about the things it didn't do and where it could have gone further, and then to move back to Living World. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and that's what most people are asking about. Living World Episode 6, we did make a lot of videos on. We covered the AMA, the jumping puzzle, the map, a lot of that new stuff, but we didn't cover the story itself. Do not worry, but there are also several other ideas that I've got, and I'm not quite sure what the ordering's going to be. So here's just a little taste of stuff I want before Path of Fire comes out, guys. I want to do a tour of the Guild Wars 1 Crystal Desert. I want to do a tour of the Vabian region and the Desolation region in Guild Wars 1 as well. I want to do the Episode 6 stuff. I want to do stuff on the new Fractal as well. Some people have been asking for this. And when I say stuff on the new Fractal, I mean the mechanics. I've actually got the achievement on that now, which I find really fun now that I've got to grips with how the Fractal works a bit better. But obviously the story and the conclusion of all the arc stuff, that will be like a second parter to the Guild Wars 2 Mystery we did a couple of months ago. I also want to do videos on recent builds I've been playing. I actually love the most recent balance patch. It's given me a lot of interesting experiences. There's a crazy Mesmer build I've been enjoying, Guardian I've been getting into, Condi Rev I've been getting into, a new Ellie support build with the changes to Arcane. There's loads, and so I kind of want to do some videos on that if I can squeeze them in. And also, very importantly to me as well, I want to do some Q&As. Q&As have always been big on the channel. We haven't done any since that initial Path of Fire announcement week, and especially a super Q&A for those patrons out there who are so important to me, and I haven't done a super Q&A for a little while. So none of these, aside from the episode 6 stuff, are absolute promises, but that's a selection of what's on my mind. That's some of the stuff that I want to be doing, and as the devs keep throwing out more live streams and more news and more, I will try to keep you all on top there. So there you go, guys. Life is very busy for the moment. I hope that you've been enjoying what I've had to offer, and well, I don't anticipating it getting a bit quieter for a while anyway, because as soon as the expansion itself is out, that's a whole other can of worms. It's gonna be good. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching. It means a huge amount, and I will see you next time.